Welcome to the program. The air in Canberra is thick with rumours tonight of a deal all but done between the government and Australia's biggest miners over the new resources rent tax that in the end cost Kevin Rudd his prime ministership. Confirmation is expected to come tomorrow. But it's not just the mining industry with a stake in the outcome. The proposed revenue from the mining tax was to underwrite a number of government reforms, including an extension of the compulsory superannuation scheme from 9 to 12% over the next decade. The opposition has said it will flatly oppose any such increase, all of which is unsettling for the $1.3 trillion super industry, which is already bracing for the impact of a long-awaited Cooper superannuation review, which has just been handed to the government, a review that promises to change the face of the industry. Business editor Greg Hoy reports.
Nurturing nest eggs. Australian workers have now accrued hard-earned superannuation savings of $1.3 trillion. But in the opinion of former Deputy Chairman of ASIC, Jeremy Cooper, who has just handed the yet-to-be-released findings of his 12-month review of Australia's super system to government, the nation's nest egg would have been much bigger if not for fat fees of fund managers and financial advisors who recommend such funds to clients for a commission.
A fund charging a member total fees of 2% a year and achieving a 5% return after tax is actually eating into a staggering 40% of the members' after-tax returns.
His fees are lower. His fees higher.
It's a view long promoted by not-for-profit Australian industry super funds, which grew out of trade unions. Former unionist Gary Weaven, now chairman of Industry Funds Management, successfully campaigned for government reform to force financial advisors to act firstly in the interests of their clients.
And we're already starting to see this in anticipation of Cooper reforms. More fee consciousness amongst super funds, particularly from the commercial funds who've been the high fee chargers. But you know, in super the problem has been that competition on its own hasn't effectively worked because there's been too much competition through salesmanship, distortion, through paying commissions to get sales rather than through getting good performance numbers.
The large retail superannuation funds, arch rivals of industry super, sniffed the winds of change and have begun to act preemptively to the Cooper findings. Two of the largest, AMP and MLC, today announced they would end commission payments to financial advisors and charge customers an upfront fee for service.
Well, I think there's, frankly, a bit of credit on all sides. Jeremy Cooper's picked up on quite a number of the important changes that will significantly benefit consumers. So whilst we don't agree with everything that's in the report, a good 80 or 90% of it we strongly agree with. We've either advocated it, supported it, or we're now embracing it.
Controversially, the Cooper report is expected to recommend that the savings of the 80% of Australian workers who don't actively choose their fund should be paid into a no-frills default fund known as My Super.
It'll automatically put pressure on fees, and that's his key driver in the whole review, was to push down fees. Now, don't be confused in terms of fees, because realistically fees in the superannuation industry have gone up by 62% over the last 5 years. Most people have said they've actually gone down. As a percentage of assets, yes, they've gone down, but in dollar terms, up 62% in the last 5 years, and all we see is fees continuing to rise as the cost of running these super accounts increases as well. So start overlaying that with the My Super or the simplistic side of it, and funds are going to have to find ways to cut fees.
We could not be more opposed to My Super. My Super is a product that will exist now, by and large, or will exist in a matter of months or at the latest 2 years across the board because of all of the other reforms. The problem with My Super is it puts a straitjacket around superannuation. It dumbs it down, and it actually legislates for disinterest in superannuation.
Well, I think the My Super label, or brand if you like, is really a word is just a term to encapsulate that requirement for trustees to put much more focus on effective performance in net benefit to member terms and effective fee levels, and that if they don't, in the long term, they will not be able to offer themselves as a default fund in workplaces.
It's also expected the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority will be mandated to develop simple, standardised comparison tables so workers can more easily compare which funds deliver the best returns.
What we want to see in the next couple of years are very clear and easy to compare results, but product by product, investment choice by investment choice. So you need to be able to properly measure apple for apple how your super product is going compared to one you might want to change to.
We think APRA absolutely can come out with the correct tables. It's just a matter of them stopping what they're doing at the moment, rethinking it and coming out at investment option level rather than fund or trust level, which is what it's done at the moment. So, yeah, they just need to rethink it. It can be done.
You can expect, it seems, a call for greater consolidation amongst funds and improved governance. But it's not entirely about lowering fees. With $1.3 trillion now sloshing about the system like monopoly money, already there's a staggering $10 billion in so-called ghost super, or the super savings of long-lost investors. It's a big jackpot that would be gifted to government, though the review is likely to suggest tax file numbers and employer information be used to track down the rightful owners. So there just could be a long-lost bonus coming your way.
If these reforms are adopted and work effectively, the bucket of money which would otherwise have been handed to government will actually find its way into members' accounts.
What may not be included in the Cooper Review is the argument that the time has come, and there never is a good time, to take Australia's superannuation savings the next step, increasing compulsory employer contributions from 9 to 12% of wages in the years ahead. The federal government is in favour if the mining tax deal is done. But the opposition object to employers bearing such a cost. And ironically, the former leader of the coalition in New South Wales and now head of the Financial Services Council is leading the charge against the opposition's opposition.
Only about 10% of Australians will have an adequate retirement on 9% superannuation guarantee. Millions more Australians will have a better retirement if the superannuation guarantee goes to 12%. Unfortunately, the opposition is opposing it, and we're disappointed with that, and we'd like to see them reconsider their position before the election.
So expect some lively debate on the super savings front in the months ahead. It makes for a sensitive discussion in the wake of the ongoing reverberations from the global financial crisis.
It will be not without its ups and downs. So anything that the government can do now to boost confidence in the industry and to increase contribution rates for the future will be very helpful to people's long-term retirement benefits and, of course, to Australia's national savings and investment pool.